Hey, how's it going? So I've got a video or some video clips that I'm going to be putting up, and so what they are is it's a piece of equipment that we've made, and we've made a number of pieces of equipment for our gym. It kind of goes hand in hand with what we jokingly call ourselves the prison gym. If you want to read down below, I'll put in a caption. I'll give you a little quick rundown on how the prison gym nickname came about a few years ago and that. But when I was looking at this piece of equipment, I didn't want to spend the money that this thing cost. Number one. And then when I was talking to my coach Steve Weingarten about it, and he had one, I was looking at his. I said, "I'm gonna make one." And he told me, he said, "Man, if you want to make one of those," he said, "you got to video this and show the process you went through to do that." So we made a pendulum squat, and in this series of videos that's coming up, I'm going to show you what all went into building this out of a pile of junk. Now, before we get into the actual videos of making this pendulum squat, you'll hear in it that I didn't want to pay the price that these things cost. I mean, if y'all price these things, you get to one of these little cheap knockoff deals that you can find through Amazon or something, you're still paying like close to $2,000, it seems like, for them. And then if you go into one of these Arsenal strengths or whatever, you're getting up into $3,000 and $4,000 and $5,000 and that for these. And I said, you'll see in one of my early clips, I could build this thing for under $200. I was pretty close. I'll put in there what I made it for, but at the end of it, I'll total everything up, and I think I was wrong. It was a little bit more than $200, but it wasn't much. Go ahead and give you my full disclaimer on this. This video will probably be the worst video you've ever watched in your entire life, to be honest with you. I did have my wife and my daughter help me quite a bit with the filming of it. Some of it I had to film by myself, and I know I'm terrible at that. I just don't make these kind of videos, and that I'll guarantee you that when I'm doing it, I'm probably making you sick with the camera. Probably got terrible angles and all, but hopefully we got some cool stuff in here and all. And the whole point of this video is it was going to be something neat and something fun to do, to show you how we did literally take a pile of just old metal and old scrap, and were able to actually repurpose this and turn it into a fully functioning pendulum squat. And I think it turned out pretty good. I hope you enjoy it. Stick around to the end. You'll probably be amazed at how it turned out. As a profession, I used to be a welder fabricator, and so we still use all those skills here on the farm, and we're gonna make one. I'm gonna go ahead and I'll put my bet on the table that I can make this thing for under $200. One reason I believe in that is because one thing you learn when you grow up and live on a farm is you don't throw anything away. And we have tons of scrap steel, tons of things laying around. We're going to jump in here and take a little ride back to the scrap pile and see what all we got going on. There's my help to load the steel. She just doesn't know it yet, but I'm going to put her to work. Okay, so we're back where we keep a lot of our scrap at. Inside the building here, we keep a lot of small scrap. I like to keep it in there, especially if it's raw. I don't want it getting rusted on me and that. But around the back, we have big stuff. But before, I know we're going to need some small stuff out of here. Before I go, I tore a piece of gym equipment apart not too long ago. These two pads here are going to work perfect for their shoulder pads. Our local high school here, one of the maintenance guys called me and said, "Hey, we're replacing a lot of gym equipment. We've got a bunch of old equipment. It's not any good. It's been sitting out in the rain. So the pads were soaked. There's no fixing them, but they had a lot of good steel in them." So I went up there and got them. I thought I'll use them someday. I think today's that day. This will be getting used on the pendulum squat, and it is heavy steel. And now, you look right here, I've got an old bench right here that came out of a local high school. that has a ton of good steel on it. It even has a diamond plate footprint on it. It's going to work beautifully for our footprint on ours. So we're going to cut the camera here for a minute because my daughter's behind there filming and I'm getting ready to put her to work, so we've got to dig this out.
I would just like to note that Dad gave me the dirty side. He's perfectly clean. Okay, so we got a spot cleared out right here, and let's make some magic happen right here. But first, we're gonna get everything unloaded. Okay, so here's what we got going on now. After we got everything unloaded that we brought up from behind the barn the other night, I took some measurements on things. Gives you a bunch of, you can see, just kind of scratched up drawings that probably wouldn't make a whole lot of sense if someone was reading it, but fortunately, in the position I'm at right now, I have access to, with my public job, that I am a CAD technician and I am able to transfer stuff here before I build it and create it. All right, so we've got this piece cut down. If you remember, it was about this wide. So we just cut one section off and I just moved it in and cut that over, because this is going to work perfect for the foot plate. So what I have to do now though is I have to be able to get this here, and then I have to also be able to get adjustment into it. So I'm going to have to do some cutting on this, build me up a frame and a hinge with a backside adjustment that'll let me take this up and down. We got our platform for our feet cut down. I got to build a base for it. Just coming off this upright, and I want this base coming off this upright. I want it, not only I need it to hinge this platform on for our feet, but I also want to add support to this so I don't get this movement out of it. Plus, I need something to hinge that off of, because I need to be able to adjust the angle of the foot platform. Got an old piece of gym equipment that has tons of use out of it, because this is heavy steel in this thing. It's this here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it right here, and I'm going to cut it right here. I'm going to take these handles off as well. I'll keep those handles because I may be using them up front and weld them on somewhere else. Check this out. This piece right here and this pin and sleeve, that right here, it's going to be exactly what I need to put on the bottom of that platform to be able to pin and move that up. We got the seat cut off, though. Got the top part cut off. Got the handles cut off. So basically, got this box frame now. I'm actually going to leave those pieces there on the front of it because I need some uprights to go in to this front piece. It's going to fit in here like this. We'll have to put something back here to tie this in, but I'll probably, I don't know if I'll weld that or bolt that. Depends on if I feel like packing something really heavy or not. But either way, we'll get it fastened to it. And then I had to get a hinge system made on here. But on there will go this platform. I have it to where it's sitting like this and where we can adjust the angle. I'm kind of jumping back and forth between stuff, but we're getting ready to weld our platform up. Remember, we've got our hinges that we made out of just black iron pipe that we're going to get fitted up here and welded, and I had to flip over and let that rise up and down. But jumping off this for a minute, and if you'll look over here on the floor, this right here is actually running boards off of a pickup truck. I'd say this is junk. This needs to be thrown in a scrap pile right here. But you got to find the beauty in it because these are still solid. These brackets are on both ends. So I've held on to them because I never throw away any steel that I could use for something. And I'll be able to use these for part of what I'm going to do up here on the top part of the pivot. And give me just a second and I'll show you, because these things just pop right off. I'm just going to take the one off. I'll leave it. Well, I'll go ahead and take that one off. So now we've got this bracket solid as a rock. There's no rust in there. That other part is junk. We'll throw it away. Won't be able to use it. But this right here and that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this bracket and I have to be able to mount my pivot blocks or my pivot bearings. Step over this way. My pivot block bearings, so that this right here is what will pivot on and rotate. And now what I did was, I've already done one, is I took this and made it into this. I cut off what I didn't need and just kept this, and I'll do the same for this side right here. The cool thing about it is, if you look at this, those holes and those holes match up perfect. I don't have to do a thing, just bolt them to it. So then what's going to happen is, we're going to take this, we're going to get it in the right spot right here, and I'm going to weld this bracket on. I'm going to do one on the other side too. And this is going to bolt right to this bracket on both sides. And then my black pipe is going to go through these bearings right here, and that is going to give our pivot point for our arm that's going to extend back. So don't throw nothing away. All right, I don't really know how long it's taken to make this thing because I'm only doing parts here and there. It's not a job I can just stay working on. If you saw the beginning of this video, it was warm. It's cold now. And so we're making some progress with it, though. We've got, let's sit this down. I just cleaned my lens. You got to keep clean lenses because it's hard enough to see getting older than that. But what we've done is, if you'll come in a little closer here, you can see that we've actually have got our foot platform to where it's adjustable. I'll pull that all the way out, and you can see we've got the spring pins in that. And then I've got to where on this side here, this platform will bolt to the upright, and over here you see I don't, because that's what I'm currently working on. And what I'm going to do is, remember, we're making this thing as inexpensive as possible. And if you look here on the floor, you'll see all these pieces of scrap. And come around here, all these pieces that we've saved. We've got, that's off a truck. That's a running board, Nerf bar, whatever you call it, off a truck. But remember, we took the brackets off of it. And if you come over here and look, you'll see that I've got one of the brackets right here. It's the exact opposite of this one. And if you look at the difference, I've cut a piece out. What I did was I cut this out. Now, I could take steel and I could drill it, but let's use what we got. I can cut this out, have my holes that I need to bolt that to it, and not have to drill it. Saves my drill bits, saves me time. These brackets were going to a scrap yard anyway. If I just got rid of them, then that's it's a win all around to save money. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut this one. I'm gonna weld it on to the other side that we were talking about a minute ago, and then that will have both sides bolted on. And after that, after we get this bolted on, then we're gonna move up here and we're gonna work on actually put our bearings in and work on our pivots. When we get that done, we're ready to move back. All right, we're making some headway here. We're gonna trip over everything. That's what we're gonna do first. This shop's a mess, but I'm gonna tell you what, if you do any kind of work, you can't keep them clean. So we do a job, we clean it up, we make it a mess again. But we are to the point now, I'm probably making y'all sick with the camera, but we're to the point now to where we've got our foot platforms done, and we're gonna move up to, we're gonna put our swing arm, our pivot arm up here, and we're putting the brackets on, and I've just got them clamped in here, and we're getting ready to weld them on. Measure. You need to make sure distances, holes are lined up. You don't want to build something and then go try to put it together and it's all out of whack. So I'm gonna get these tacked in place, and then we'll get everything fitted up before we weld it for good. All right, we got those tacked in place. We're gonna come over here now and we're going to dig through this mess and try to find us, there's our bearing, and try to find us some bolts that fit. We got washers and that. You don't throw anything away like this. You don't throw bolts away. We got just drawers full of them. So we're gonna dig through and we're gonna find something that's going to go into the holes on these bearings, and then we'll get it mounted up, tacked up, make sure everything's good before we weld it up for sure. Okay, we've got this all fitted up and in place right now, so you can see. And if we take this, take it in my hand and turn it, get around the front side here so you can see. And now we have our bar to come across for our pivot, and then we're going to start working back this way. Okay, so we've got all this tacked in place right now, and before I weld all of this permanently, even though some of it's the bolts are gonna come off of it, before I do that, we're going to come back here to the back and figure out what we're gonna do as far as where the body goes. We have got off of an old dip ab station, one of those, I think they called them power tires back in the day or something like that. We've still got parts from an old one laying around that was in a barn, and those pads are going to work perfect for our shoulders. And I've actually bought a bench that I'm going to use the back pad off of for where our back's going to go against. But I'm going to work on getting this spaced out right, tacked up, and fitted to where our body can fit into it, and then we'll start trying to put this together. All right, so we made a little progress on the, well, I guess you would call this a shoulder pads, where your body's going to be at. And
we just got it somewhat figured up here, not permanent yet. A little bit of a tear right here. It's not perfect. That's from one of my sons who was using it back when it was actually doing an ab workout, and I think he knocked the bench over and it tore the pad. But no big deal. And we're gonna, in a minute, put this on my daughter's shoulders and just kind of match up and see how it needs to be angled to the body. But right now, one other thing I had to buy, I haven't had to buy a whole lot, but one thing I had to buy was I needed a bench, and got my daughter here taking this apart right now. Brand new bench. And now we're going to take it apart and tear it up. And but that's all right. That's what we need right there, that back pad. We'll use another steel for something else maybe in that, but not real sure. Never heard of this brand here. I don't know if that's "Ya Good" or if that needs a question mark behind it that says "You Good." Anyway, we got a brand new piece, and we're going to tear it up and make it into another piece. All right, so here we are. I've got my helper here, my daughter, and she's kind of just, she's putting a body in it so that I had held the back up against it. I want to see the angle. I can get online, and I've put some stuff on my computer, and I figured the angles. But I want to, we're building this personal for us, so let's make it fit us and all. So she's just kind of modeling for me. I'm measuring against her, and yeah, check that shirt out. Roll Tide. This is all looking good. We're going to take this down, and we're going to get some stuff tacked on. And it looks kind of bulky on this back side, but what we're going to do is on this back side right through here, we're going to take our pegs off right here. That'll be actually where our weight plates are going to be held. So we'll get this down and get something fitted up. All right, so I've been working on the pendulum squat more today, and it's getting dark, and I need to go feed cows. And so I just came back here. I took a break to come back and feed cows, and I need a certain piece. And I went to my coach's house the other day, and I was looking at his. He's got one of the original swing squats, and I was looking at his, and I kind of changed the plans on mine a little bit after looking at his. I need a certain piece, and I can make it. It's actually the piece that's going to lock the harness, the body harness part into positions, and that. Well, I got thinking about it. I was like, you know what? We use a lot of stuff to hold down hay tarps, and I have this odd piece of steel that's been on this hay tarp for years and years, and now I got a use for it other than that. So it's almost like a small ladder, but those rungs right there are going to be perfect to lock in at different heights. So the we're making this thing, and it's funny how we're making this thing out of all these different scrap pieces. We got truck parts in it. We got parts off machinery in it. We got old gym equipment. But when we're going to get done with it, it's going to look good. But today I had a little bit of time here, and I worked on the body harness. I don't know what you call this. I'm officially calling this the cockpit, just because it sounds cool. And that, so we've put this together with, if you look at this, this is the Ya Good bench that we got off Amazon on Black Friday, Cyber Monday, something like that, for dirt cheap. This is some of the pads here for the from the dip station, and made a few adjustments. We tilted this head in a little bit, but anyway, this contraption right here, it looks like something off a roller coaster in that, but hopefully it's going to work in that. I've gotten inside of it. My daughter got inside of it, and it's not all the way finished welded up, and we felt pretty comfortable in it. So now we got this. We're going to get this connected to my pivots up front. And then once we have that and have our distance like we like it, then we'll get something done on the back here as far as pegs off the side to put weights on, and a locking mechanism to lock it in position. And then it'll be time to do all the finish welding on it. And before you know it, it's a nasty, gnarly looking thing right now. It's so dirty and dingy and that, but it's gonna look badass when we're done. we're getting along pretty good. We've got what we're calling the cockpit here. We've got it. It's all tacked together. It's fitted up good. We'll have to do some work on the backside for the hook to hook us into position, getting in and out of it, and also for the weight pegs. But right now what we're doing is we're going to attach the arms off of it up here to our bearing, our pivot point, and we put some brackets on here. There's some more Chevy truck brackets that we've cut up and put on here. And so I'm actually gonna weld this to here. Now, I've got this thing fitted for me, and I didn't have a video of how I did that, but the crazy way I did that was I literally had a rope tied around this pivot and my body, and I got myself into position and measured what I needed off of here to my shoulders. But I've got this comes apart. This is actually bolted on right here, and it's got adjustment to where I can move this forward and backward. Now, this is made for my gym, and the only people who work out in my gym basically are me and my son, and maybe a few more of my kids if they want to, but I don't need it like a public gym where it needs to have so much adjustment for a bunch of different people. And I could do that. I could go through and put lots of holes down through it and then make this thing slide back and forth, but I don't really feel like messing with that. And just need to make it for me. So right now what I'm gonna do is I got my daughter out here. We're actually gonna get this fitted up here and get this tacked in. And then I'm gonna get this thing welded in. And we get to that point, we're ready to start doing something off the back here to get us to lock in the different positions. So we're gonna do that right now. All right, so you can see we've got this on here now. I hope you can see a little bit. I put my camera stationary. My daughter's not here to help me film it. But I had to go to Lowe's now because I don't have everything here I need. I gotta buy some stuff. As you've seen, I bought a few things so far. I bought a piece of iron pipe. What the iron pipe's gonna be, we're gonna put it on the back side here of the cockpit, and that's what we're going to have our weight plates go on. And I've actually got these collars off some old gym equipment, and what they do is they work really well to take a standard 1-inch plate and switch it over to an Olympic plate. So what we're going to do is I'm going to put this on here, and then these collars fit right over top of it. So on both sides here we're going to have these collars. And so the other thing is I'm probably going to angle them a little bit, and so I need a backstop. All I'll do is buy these floor flanges for iron pipe, and if you look at this, we'll put this right over top. We'll weld that on. We'll put this right here. Fits perfect. Do the same thing on the other side and that, and we're beautiful on that end. And so that worked out. Well, it wasn't too bad. And then, you know, we're getting so close. We're getting down to it. And that the thing actually functions now, not all the way. And now we got to do a few other things or whatever, but it's getting close to painting time and that. So we'll get this done. It's a nasty, gnarly looking, dirty mess right now, but it's going to be pretty in our red and black like we do everything in the prison gym. So let's get started. Okay, I'm at a point now to where I think about calling it. We'll show you how it works. And like I say, this is made out of old junk gym equipment, out of truck parts. I have parts over here that are off of a disc mower, which is what we use to cut hay. I've got other pieces off of farm implements in here. I've got some just structural steel that was laying around. I've got brackets that are off of I don't know what. And so basically, if you've ever watched, there used to be a show on called, I think it's called Junkyard Wars or something like that.
And they put these guys in a junkyard and they had to build something out of what they could find in a junkyard. I just did this. So, like I say, not exactly the prettiest of things, but let's watch how it works. So I might actually extend that foot plate up a little bit further, but unlocks on its own. And we can come down here and get just as deep hamstrings to calves. Hold up here, hold back here. When we're done, reach around, locked in place. There we go. We're doing our weight horns here. They're not all the way done yet, but yeah, made this from the plumbing section of Lowe's. So anyway, it'll work. Let's go get it painted. The very last piece that we're going to make is this bracket here, and all this bracket is going to be for, and these corners, I'm going to weld these corners up, but all this bracket is going to be for is our locking mechanism on the back end. The metal's a little bit thin, and it's not holding an extreme amount of weight with the angle it's on, but I just want to put something extra to beef it up. But we're just going to take a piece of steel here. It's got holes in it already. Too bad it don't line up with what I want. I'm about to drill new holes, but we're going to take this piece and we're going to make this piece. Okay, we're at, today we're just going through, and you can see this crazy looking contraption right here, the cockpit, we've been calling it. We've got it all torn apart, pads off of it. All we're doing now is going through where some of the welds were just tacked together. We're actually going through and fully welding everything up now. Getting everything good and tight and in place. And we're also going to get it cleaned up because next stop is paint shop. Same with part of this base right here. We got it flipped up on edge, and all just going through and getting everything secured, and hopefully won't be too long. We're going to be putting this thing together complete. All right, we're back here getting some paint done. This is our paint shop. Yeah, we're back here in the barn painting, but we're out of the weather. We're out of the wind. It's warm out here, and we got stuff getting prepped and getting ready, and we have some stuff here that's already done. Got some right here. Look at that red. That red and black is gonna pop. Piece right there, that the white, the cockpit, it'll be red here in just a little bit around our paint. But we're getting it all painted up.
All right, well, our final construction part, as you can see, this piece is already painted, and then you can see I've added some items to it. So there's nothing worse than getting a piece complete on a project and then realizing you forgot to put a brace in, forgot to weld something, and then you got to go back and do that and mess up the paint job. So we got the rest of this covered up. We're gonna put some more paint on it and blend it in and get this thing done. The only thing left after this is be letting it dry, and then we're gonna get in the gym and put it together. Well, we've got the paint on, the part we had to go back and put in that we forgot about. I remembered it when I was asleep. That's how it works. So this is the pile of steel we have left over. A lot of people probably think, well, just throw this away and all, but there is still a lot of usable steel in there that we'll hold on to use down the road on some kind of project. Next stop, getting all this hauled into the gym, put together.
Brought all the pieces in. Dad almost pushed me down the stairs. It's fine. But we got them in, and now we're finally putting it together. So, forgot to not touch that. We'll see how it looks when it's done, and hopefully it all works out.
If you ever watched the show Junkyard Wars, I think we just won, because that show, they used to put them in a junkyard and they had to build something just with what they could find. And I'm gonna tell y'all, we have pieces in here that are old gym equipment. We got some bearings that we bought off eBay that weren't very much. Some of these brackets going up, they are actually pieces off of old farm equipment. And those pipes, 2 pipes came from Lowe's. This back lockout actually is made from something that we used to hold hay tarps down with. The bench here, like I said, I don't know if that's y'all good or you're good, but I bought that on Black Friday off Amazon.
I think I get 50 bucks for this bench, and then we'll destroy the bench and use the parts we needed. The lockout arms on the side, you see that lockout arm, the big hook that goes back, that is actually off of a disc mower, old disc mower that we cut hay with. And if you look at a lot of these brackets up here, they are off of an older Chevy pickup truck. This right here is off of a Chevy pickup truck. So we have got a fully functioning pendulum squat in the prison gym that seems to be doing really well, seems to be feel really good, looks really good. And I'll figure it up and I'll type it in on the screen when I print this, but I think I may have bumped over the $200 mark, but I'm not much. Saved us a lot of money, plus it's a fun story, making something like this out of literally a pile of junk that you all saw. And that, so not gonna lie though, there were some trying times with it, trying to figure out the locking mechanism in the back of it, get it lined out, and then having room still to put the weights and all. So that was some frustrating time, but a lot of packing up, tearing apart and all. But all in all, we got to the other end of it. It was a big project. Well, that's it. We got it finished. We've actually been using the new pendulum squat for a little better than a month now, and everything's turned out pretty good with it. Made a few little adjustments and all, but I think this is the third or fourth piece of equipment we've actually made on our own for the gym and that. So it's fun. Some of them are pretty challenging. This one here had some challenging spots, but it was fun. It's done. It works. Now let me show you what it cost me.